broadcast. All right, people are coming on in. All right, we're gonna let a couple more people come on in. We'll give them about 2 more minutes, and then we will open up the webinar official and give you guys instructions on and kind of an outline of how we're going to move forward and what you can expect. So glad everybody is on, that you guys took time. I know these webinars normally fall on a Friday, and Friday is normally a free day for most people, so I definitely appreciate you guys setting aside some time, setting aside some money to support me in what I do. And as always, it is my intention that you get more than you expected. All right. I've got some notes here. Wait, print like this. Okay. Okay. Cool. So just to let you guys know, okay, so we're at 6:55. So for those of you who are in here, let's say we've got 9 people in already. So about halfway point, people probably come in as they can. Just to kind of, if this is your first time in one of my webinars or your first time using the platform of Zoom.us, you've done good because you made it this far. So if you're in here, you're doing all right. Just to kind of give you some ideas of what you may be seeing, whether you're using your tablet, your mobile device, or if you're on your computer, such as I am. Let me kind of walk you through some of the basic things that you will need as it relates to this webinar. So in the lower portion, there's a lower third at the bottom there, and 2 primary things that you really want to keep in mind. There's a Q&A section, all right, and there is a chat section. The Q&A section, you can certainly use those 2 ways to speak to me, either privately to say, Doc, your camera's off, or we can't hear you, or whatever the case may be, something like that. Or you can use the chat to, speak with other people in the chat room or whatever. Don't let it get too distracting. If you need to drop a question in while I'm in that vein of talking about that thing, then be sure to do that. But also bear in mind that I would advise you to kind of wait to the end because then we are going to set aside time to answer all of your questions there, as much as we can get to in the allotted time frame. So we're going to start off with about an hour going into some topics and some dialogue about Mojos. We'll move from there to a short demonstration about Mojos. I had to change my demonstration up at the very, very last minute simply because an order did not get filled on time. So, we adjust and we move on. And I may possibly record my original demonstration, add it to this bundle or something like that. We'll see. And then, like I said, at the end, we'll do a Q&A. Okay. So there is also a option here to, let's see. Excuse me. Let me turn this fan off. There's also an option here to, yeah. So we have the Zoom webinar chat and the Q&A forum there for you guys. And what it will show up as a hand being raised and that you have a question, and then I can address your question. I thought in the intake form for this webinar, I put an option for questions, but I didn't see any come through, and maybe I am overlooking where to find those. But nevertheless, here we are. So I'm going to start off with something I wrote on my Facebook or in one of my Facebook groups some months ago, talking about mojos, and I call this a muse on mojos. So this is what it says: a muse on mojos. Always keep in mind your mojo, your amulet are living fetishes. That is why we feed them light, rum, smoke, juju. We tattoo them with signatures. We give them stitches with thread. We cauterize them with the flame, and we seal the wounds with wax like an ointment. We breathe the breath of life in them so they may live. We sing to them to give them a heartbeat. We use red materials so blood will course through their flesh. We fill them with gree and curios and magical charges and other spiritual artifacts for their organs. They are birthed through ritual. They are subject to the evil eye and can even die. We nurse them at our side for 3, 7, 21 days. Some keep them in bras as a child to be breastfed. And after death, we perform autopsy, opening them up again, removing organs, some to be donated, others to be committed back to the earth through burning or ritual. So I want to open up with that. And then also, if you've ever ordered an amulet or a mojo bag from me, you've probably got one of these in your order. So I'm going to read this also, and then we can get into our talk. Made exclusively at Cosmic Alchemy, Dr. Cosmic Nwanji conjure amulets are filled with strong roots, powders, herbs, seeds, and other magical curios, and anointed with aromatic essential oils with empowering spiritual properties. The spiritual charms, talismans, amulets, and fetishes that I make are based on my relationship with the spirits and are consistent with the African diasporic tradition. This amulet is a power bundle that's been ritually prepared. Magical herbs, soil, dirt, spices, talismans, and other charges that act as power points have been wrapped and tied in a bundle to concentrate the power of a specific spirit for a specific purpose. Each amulet is carefully created to enhance the appropriate properties. Your amulet should be treated with the utmost care and respect as you would a powerful spirit. Give your amulet a name and speak to it and ask it to work on your behalf. For the first 7 days that you own it, you will keep it as close to you as possible, wearing it next to your skin and sleeping with it under your pillow, only setting it aside when you shower, bathe, or go swimming. After 7 days, you may continue to wear it next to your skin, carry it in a pocket, a purse. This amulet is something that should be as close to your person as possible, as often as possible. About once a week, you will need to feed your amulet. Recharging can be done by passing the spiritual charm through incense or by dabbing it with a few spots of spiritual formula as was provided. Your charm should never be seen or touched by anyone. If it is seen by someone else, reestablish your connection to it by recharging it daily and wearing it next to your skin for 7 days. From that point forward, feed the amulet once a week. Touching by another person will often short circuit this amulet, and if yours is touched, it should be remade or replaced. Once a year, you should have yours refreshed with a new bag and fresh ingredients. Amulets like this are magical allies. Each is named, breathed to life, and charged to work hard for you and only you. As you squeeze on your mojo bag and call it by its name, it quickly goes to work towards the goal which it was created. Because your mojo bag is a living, breathing, and magical vessel alive with a spirit, do not open your bag, keeping in mind the idea that your bag is a living, magical spirit. If you open your bag, it's like opening up a person. And magically speaking, this is an act of killing your amulet. So that as a side note there. For those of you who are just coming in, thank you and welcome. Okay. I'll just go over quickly the protocols here. this is your first time either being on one of my webinars or in using the Zoom.us platform, then basically two things you need to know about the platform. To the lower portion of your screen, you will find there's a Q&A option. You can ask a question in that regard, or you can also ask your questions in the chat, whereby you can specify whether you want the message to go to me directly and only me, or if it can be seen by all the other participants in the chat. Okay. If you are, if you are on a mobile device, all right, you may need to swipe left or swipe right, depending if you have Android or iPhone, to see video. As we get to the demonstration portion of the webinar, I am going to be relocating, and using a second device is going to log in. So keep that in mind, because you may have split screen situation, or you may need to swipe across your phone to get the other video feed I'll be showing. All right. So that being said, Mojos. The Mojo bag, as it is my understanding, let me first preface by saying this. None of this, not one iota of this webinar is an immutable law. All right. I am in no means claiming to be the grand poobah of Mojos, or the final authority on all of these Mojo bags, by no means. What I'm going to relate to you, what I'm going to share to you, are tips and tricks and techniques, technology, mystery, secrets that I've learned over the years, that I've worked with. So really, you're kind of learning my style, my process, and my methodology. So please keep that in mind. This is one perspective of many. All right. That being said, let me also say this. I am pretty stubborn and dogmatic in my approach to certain things. So though I may speak them with authority, I am by no means authoritarian in my opinion. All right. So Mojos. A couple of things about Mojo. Some of you have already had the chance to purchase an intensive that I did with my class, I want to say last year, on Mojos. And someone asked if this is going to be a remake of this. No, it's not. If you haven't picked that up, I do encourage you to do so. In that, we did a lesson plan on Mojo bags, and I gave them basic things to highlight and to understand about Mojos, and kind of sent them with homework to build Mojo bags, and particularly give me some recipes, right, that they've never seen before, never heard before. Don't give me any rehash stuff, but based upon what you know about the technology of Mojo bags, and also what you know about curios and your plants and so forth, give me some recipes on that. And so they had the homework to give me 5 recipes on 5 different types of Mojos. I think there was an uncrossing one, there was a protection one, there was a mastery one, there was a love one, I think there was a money one, something to that effect. And if you watch that, you got to see kind of a sneak peek into how I teach my students, but also how we kind of pull their Mojos apart and told them, what was good, what was bad, what could have been better, and what they avoided being worse. One of the things that you'll notice there is about the material the Mojo is made out of. Let me kind of talk a little bit about where, in my opinion, again, where Mojos fall on the spectrum of spiritual devices. Let me say that the Mojo bag is probably every conjurer's secret weapon. It is probably synonymous with hoodoo and conjure as a whole. Literally, it's called a Mojo bag. When you think about the varying spectrum of spiritual devices, you've got and these are, my normal terms I'm using here, but just follow me in my logic. You have what we would call magical vessels. Then we come into talking about charms. Then we get into the realm of amulets. And then we kind of really apex at talismans. And so the Mojo bag, as it were, would be in the genre of amulets. These are your hoodoo amulets, as it were. And what separates or what distinguishes an amulet from other different types of spiritual devices is that an amulet, number one, does not really is not dependent upon your belief in it, like a charm would be, for example. Also, an amulet has a living spirit in it, right? One that is created. Excuse me, one that is created, which is different than maybe a talisman, for example, which is an ensouled object. And furthermore, when you think about this Mojo bag, the way the Mojo bag works, all right, from its construction and its usage. On the construction side, you are building a being. You're building a person, as it were, all right? So your cloth that you're using would be akin to the skin of a person, all right? The material cloth you're using would be like the skin of a person. So let me make a side note here. It is my conviction that your Mojo bag, the material you make it out of, should not be flamboyant. Okay. It was my original mind to really take y'all and do with y'all like I do my students, and actually go through websites like Etsy and like Instagram and like Facebook and type in Mojo and kind of go through and ask them, is this a Mojo? Is that a Mojo? Yes or no, and why? But I won't do that because sure enough, somebody will say Doc was being shady in his webinar. So I won't do that. But I'll give you some tips, all right, so that you can go and look and you can make your own judgment based upon does this follow suit. So one of them is that a Mojo bag, the fabric is used, the material is made out of, should not be flamboyant. In other words, it should not be overly conspicuous. So normally they're of a solid color. You won't find that the Mojo bag also works by being inconspicuous, right? And it is done by being subtle. So therefore, you definitely don't want a bag like an organza bag or some type of see-through bag where you can look into it, right? And there's a reason for that, all right? This also goes into the question about should your Mojo bag be seen? I get this question a lot. Doc, somebody saw my Mojo bag, or what should I do if a Mojo bag was seen? And I was in a Facebook group, and somebody made this point, and their basis was, how is it spiritual workers can sell Mojo bags online, on Facebook, Etsy, wherever, and be showing the Mojo bag when nobody's supposed to see the Mojo bag? And I responded by saying, you make a very good point, but I have to disagree with you on some areas. And they are the following. Number one, a Mojo bag becomes subject to that once it becomes yours. Okay. If I make a Mojo bag and I'm documenting my process to you as my client or my customer, then that's not going to be a problem for you to see that. It's not going to be a problem for anybody else to see it. All right. Because in fact, the Mojo bag is not for me, it is for you. All right. When you receive a Mojo bag from me or some other workers, they will give you instructions on how to, for lack of a better word, attune that bag to you. All right. The idea being that as a spiritual worker, making a Mojo bag for someone else, following that same logic of creating a person, I would be a type of surrogate parent, for lack of a better term. Okay, but the baby is not mine. All right, the baby belongs to you. So once it becomes into your care, all right, and it now becomes attuned to you, now at that point it becomes your responsibility. All right. For me as the maker of this, I have to create it, make sure it is done according to the appropriate protocols, and deliver it to you. From there, I should, if I'm a good worker, give you instructions and information on how to keep it up. Okay. Just like when you go to your doctor, your pediatrician, that's what I'm looking for. All right. It's going to tell you how to, now you've got this baby. what do you do with it? You got to feed it, you know, you've got to change its diaper, and so on and so forth. So you don't want it to be of any flamboyant, crazy pattern and colors. Okay. Can you make a Mojo bag from some, you know, cute pattern you found on, you know, in the craft store? Like if you found this, you know, you want to make a money Mojo, all right, and you've got, you know, this money print on it. Is that allowable? I'll let that pass. In the sense of this, here's my big no. The cloth you're using should not be see-through. That's my big no. For a number of reasons, both practical and spiritual. Again, I should not be able to see what is in your Mojo. Number two, if it's see-through, there's a chance things can fall out of them. You start adding powders and dirts and so on. It's just not practical. Okay. There are some bags and some cloth material that, like for example, here's one. All right. These little tea bag drawstrings. All right. These will work great as a sachet. All right. A sachet is a type of Mojo, mostly powders. Okay. That is worn on the person. All right. And as a matter of fact, sachets almost always refer to a Mojo bag that is to in some way enhance or bless the user. All right. They're not there to curse. They're not there to, you wouldn't put hot foot powder, for example, in a sachet. And the way they work is that you put them in your pocket, you put them in your underwear, you put them in your bra, and as you move throughout the day, you know, your movement is going to cause it to shake, right? And it's going to release those perfumes, it's going to release those powders onto your person, all right? That's how you work sachets. So in this regard, this one, yeah, if you were really looking at it, you probably could see there's something in there. You can't really make, well, I guess you can make out what's in there, holding it to the light. Okay. So there's a way to even get around this, but I would not use this bag for that, right? This would be very good, like I said, for a sachet bag, just a hold maybe your hard materials in here. Now, another thing you want to be mindful of, this idea of looking at the Mojo versus looking in the Mojo. So there are a number of different reasons why this come about. If you look at your old school hoodoo, there really was no idea of if somebody saw it. All right. And if you look at some of your old time workers, that was not one of their inhibitions, all right, their protocols. As you begin to get more into the common era, where you begin to get more root doctors or whatever in a small locale, all right, normally in the city areas, all right. We're back in the day, you know, in the rural areas, maybe had one or two root doctors that covered a large range of territory, a large geographical location. When they begin to be clustered in a certain area, it began to be a situation of, I don't want, you know, another worker to know what my mysteries are. All right. So I will instruct my client not to let anybody see it, not to let anybody open it up. Okay. Now, number one, you don't want anybody to see because you don't want anybody to know that you got one. All right. Because if it's another worker, for example, and you may have been going to them, then they will begin to throw what we call the evil eye. This is really the reason why your Mojo bag is said not to be seen. Because if it is a living thing, all living things are subject to death or to affliction or injury, rather, by the evil eye. By the evil eye. Now, depending on your Mojo bag, there is a way, okay, to get around that. All right. Not every Mojo can do this. This should not be done in every instance. I'll give you an example when I have used this before. If it is a Mojo bag for protection, okay, and I have it in and I'm using a leather material, all right, black leather as the casing of the Mojo, all right. One of the things that I will do is I will ensure that I have put roux into the Mojo bag, all right, or I have dressed the Mojo bag with some type of root oil or root perfume, okay? Or, all right, and I'll show you guys this when I do my demonstration. The thread I'm using to bind the Mojo bag up has been drenched or oiled down in some rue-based formula. As we know, rue averts the evil eye. All right, rue kills the evil eye. Okay, that is a way to extend the longevity of a mojo. All right. Okay, great question. So one asks about not opening up the bag after it's made and working it. Now, every worker is different. Every bag is different. All right. There are some bags that are bound up and they're tied together and they are not to be tampered with. All right. Some of them. So for example, Mojo bags that have a spirit in them, not one that not in the sense that you've made the Mojo bag alive, but there is what we call a morto walking with that Mojo bag. For example, if you added bone, all right, and you have conjured the spirit of the bone, whether it's an animal bone, a human bone, or whatever, and you have made contracts and pacts with that spirit, all right, and place them into that Mojo bag. We're getting a little bit more into the idea of fetishes, which is a similar technology, all right. Another reason why you wouldn't do this because in that case, that Mojo bag or that fetish may have certain spiritual signatures, all right, that have been written on the bag or in the bag as such. These spiritual signatures program that spirit in that bag to operate in a certain way, or to bind that spirit in that bag to a certain way, and to perform a certain function. So by opening up the bag, almost like getting the genie out of the bottle per se, that spirit is released, and those signatures may in fact be nullified. Okay. In many cases, depending upon what the tradition is, the only person that should know what that signature is the conjurer and the spirit he's making this pact with, not the end client. Okay. Now the question was asked about Mojo as far as iron files are concerned and feeding the lodestone. Here's one way that I utilize this without even opening up my bag. One is what I feed the bag. Okay, what I feed the bag. You can put small rust particles, you can put small iron filings in your Mojo feed, whether it's an oil. I particularly prefer to use colognes as my own personal preference, simply because I wear my Mojo bags on my person in my pocket. And depending upon what material your Mojo bag is made out of, that oil can transfer in. Let me tell you, I've got many of pants that have been ruined per se because they've got this oil stain on them from Mojo bags that have been put in them. I like to use like a whiskey or whatever, or some type of perfume. By that I mean any type of alcohol base, because I know it's going to evaporate very quickly. The thing to keep in mind about that is this: if you have in your Mojo bag a resin, frankincense, myrrh, dragon's blood, etc., some type of tree sap, amber, whatever, bear in mind that exposure to alcohol will break down those resins. All right, they'll begin to get gummy. They can bleed through the bag. All right, and they can become sticky. All right, so just keep that in mind. If you dab a little bit here and there, it'll be fine in the long run. But if you do like I do and drench mine, okay, then bear that in mind. All right. So I hope that answers your question. All right. Great question, by the way. So moving forward into your bag being looked at versus being looked into. All right. Again, opening up the bag is a no-no, right? Like I said before, especially if the spirit has been tied to it. Okay. Secondly, because other people now know what is in your Mojo. They may steal your trick. They may steal your recipe. Okay. This is really, kind of the non-magical side of why we do these things. If someone's greatly practical, all right. If I have a recipe that the spirits have given me or been passed down by generations, and some other workers heard that, my power hand is really, really hitting on something, or my money hand is, undefeated, and they're like, well, we need to figure out what is it using? What's giving it that force, that power? So they may hire someone to go and buy your hand and then bring it back to them for them to open up and investigate, do an autopsy basically on your mojo. Another reason why some workers will tie a spirit to a bag is so that if in fact it is opened up, right, then there's going to be some hell to pay for doing so, right? You've not just tried to steal my tricks. Now you got a spirit on your ass you got to get rid of as well, right? So it's almost like a built-in firewall response as well. I know I knew work, he's dead now, who, when he would make his mojo bag, three things he would do, or he taught me. One was that he would add, depending upon the use of the mojo bag, he would always add either charcoal, ground up charcoal, or cascade or eggshell powder. All right. And his reason for doing this wasn't necessarily magical, it was practical. In that, if I have sprinkled charcoal in a bag or cascarilla in a bag, and you've gone and you've oiled it down, you've drenched it with perfume or whatever, if you go to open that bag up, the odds are everything is going to look the same. It's all going to be white if it's cascarilla in there. It's all going to be black. You're not going to be able to make sense of what this herb is, or what that root may be, or what that. Unless you have something, you know, hard like a mineral you can wash off, certainly so. But in most cases, like your powders, I know conjurers who they powder everything down, right? They only use powders, dirts and powders, so that if you open it up, you can't tell what is in there. You don't know if it's rue, if it's high John root, you don't know, okay? A lot of these things are done for practical reasons. It's really proprietary in nature, okay? And so those of you who are either going to be recipients of mojos or making your own, then these might be something you want to keep in mind. We're going to sell them or give them to other people, and that may be a legitimate concern of yours. Moving forward, though, how do mojos? Let me finish up on the construction of them. So, how do you choose what to put in your mojos? I'm going to kind of move a little bit quickly here because I don't want my time to get away from me. You're working in a number of kingdoms. You have the animal kingdom, all right, with your bones or different animal curios. There may be furs in there. There may be bones in there, tubes in there. Here's my thing about certain animal parts and bones. If you looked at my other video, you'll notice this. When you're doing that, now you have to reconsider your material for making your mojo bag in, because things like shells, fangs, claws, or whatever, understand the doctrine of signatures and the law of correspondence. Why are we bringing in this claw? Or this fang, it may be to defend or to attack. All right. Well, if you've got a cloth bag, that's not practical, because inevitably that fang or that claw is going to, claw or fang its way through the bag. All right. Which is what you want it to do. You want it to be, fanging and clawing away. That's what you want it for. But you don't want it to destroy your bag. So the question came to me, well, Doc, can we shave it down some? No. Do not dull the claw. Do not dull the tooth. It's the doctrine of signatures. In doing so, you also dull the effect it's going to have. You want it to be sharp. You want it to scratch. You want it to scrape and cut. All right. All you have to do is reconsider your material. All right. Instead of a cloth bag, maybe go for a leather bag, for example. All right. You can also take some string. All right. And tie it. All right. Tie that claw down. That kind of give a little barrier around it, so it will not be piercing your bag, but the claw itself is still intact. All right. Now, if you're working with a shell, let's say a small turtle shell, okay, then yes, you can kind of shave around the edges of that, because shells are meant to be aren't meant to attack, they're meant to defend. All right. Don't shave them thin, just shave them round. Okay. If you're working with amulets with a turtle shell, you can just fill the whole shell up with your ingredients and then seal the ends of it. If you have a small turtle shell that you're working with, put your ingredients in there and then seal it up with wax. All right. I like to use candle wax. I like to use sealing wax. I like to use black soap. All right, to seal up certain materials. All right, certain amulets that I'm making. How do you? So yeah, you have the animal kingdom to choose from. You have the plant kingdom. All right, many of you, this is not your first time in hoodoo. There are a number of resources out there of what this herb is good for, et cetera, et cetera. This is what I want you to keep in mind. You need to build a relationship with the plant you're working with. Okay. If you can't do that botanically, and by that I mean growing it yourself, watering it yourself, harvesting it yourself, then do in-depth research. Not just, hey, what plants are good for love work, but actually do in-depth research. Look at it medically, look at it scientifically. What is the folklore around it? What areas of the world does it grow in naturally? What have been some of the effects of it, right? Topically, what has been ingested? How has it been used over the years in alchemy, in medicine? Get a very in-depth understanding of your plant. Then go even further and see how the same plant has been used either in the same way or in different ways in different cultures around the world. All right. That's what I mean. That's going to help build a relationship with you and the spirit of that plant. All right. When you are dealing with minerals, all right, like for example, your stones, pyrite, maybe you may add a quartz crystal. You guys know from my history, I'm not a big crystal person by any means, but I'll leave that to your own discretion. Whether those minerals are coins, all right, metals. For example, you can add iron flakes, all right, iron filings rather, gold flakes, silver flakes for money drawing work, for kind of success drawing work, wealthy way, those kinds of things. You can definitely add your minerals in there. Also, let me say this. You don't have to, go and order some powerful stone. In the same way that dirts carry the radiation of the place they are at, so do the stones there and the herbs there. All right. For example, I've said this 100 times before. You might not have an herb that's good for blockbusting, but you walk outside your front door and you see there are these weeds growing through the cracks of your cement. Use that. That's a block busting herb. The cement block was burst open through this plant. Use that. Okay. Maybe you don't have blockbuster powder per se. All right. Get the dirt from a pothole. What's happened? Something with force, a car, an 18-wheeler or whatever, after time and time and time again, have burst open that asphalt, that cement. All right. I also use not only the dirt from that, but also the little small rock pellets that come from there as my mineral of choice for block busting work, for road opening work, right? You take that, you combine that with maybe dirt from a crossroads. Look at that. You've got blockbuster road opening powder. Just that simple, okay? And that by itself, you can use to put into your mojo, all right? A lot of what I do, I add powders to it, all right? Also, your shells, okay, like cowrie shells, those can be used to, if you're doing like a Toby, for example, you're going to use for divination, then, cowrie shells, not only are they used to affect female genitalia, the vagina, but they also serve as eyes, ears, and mouths, right? Not only that, they also serve as a form of currency as well. All right. Question was about feathers. This is when we start getting more into packets per se and fetishes, in which if you have a very small feather, all right, then yes, you can add that. All right. Um, Again, according to the appropriate bird that you're using. All right. Um, but when you're building, let's say, a fetish or a packet, then the feathers would be added, or they would plume out from the actual bundle itself. All right. If you look in Vodun in the Wanga, all right, packets. Okay, you see that in their workings as well. Uh, but certainly you can do that. You can even reduce things down to ash. All right. There are uncrossing formulas and uncrossing powders that I do, or ways to protect or to um, reverse and guard against witchcraft, would be to take a black vulture feather, all right, and burn that down to ash and add that medicine into the mojo. Actually, I've got um, a vulture completely burned, head, body, and all down to ash, with some other medicine in it that I'll add to mojo bags in very extreme cases. Now, in that case, that mojo, what that person would do would also work as medicine to them. They would take that mojo bag, they would pour the oils on it or the perfumes I prescribed on it. While it's still wet, they'd rub themselves down with almost like a Olympia situation, all right, to keep themselves or to wipe off any tricks that may have been on their person. Okay. Um, so you've got the plant kingdom to draw from, the mineral kingdom to draw from, you've got the animal kingdom to draw from, and even their human parts, okay, you can utilize. If you're working a nature sack, or they call it nation sack. Nation sack is actually Geechee. Then when they heard us speak as Geechee people, they heard nation like USA or Russia, but we were saying the nature, how to tie a person's nature, particularly talking about their sexual nature, their libido, for example. Why not use a bull scrotum or a deer scrotum? You can find those online that come like a sack, all right, that you can tie your materials up into to control your man, right? Make sure you put his personal concerns in there, all right? And you could take a piece of paper, um, that you use as your name paper and your petition paper, right? Write the petition on one side or your prayer, whatever, on one side, their name on the other side, and then wrap their personal concerns up or fold their personal concerns up in that. Make a little packet, okay? On that, you can oil that packet down with your mastery oils, for example, or I would recommend with your own urine, okay? Or if you want to control a person's nature, or if you want them to be stuck on you, if you want them to be stuck on you, then you would use your own sexual fluids. That's what you would anoint the packet with. Put that in the scrotum bag they're using, add some controlling herbs to that, okay? And then tie it up really, 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 really tight, all right? And what you want to do is if you suspect they are going away from the home, or they aren't, staying in your bed or whatever, then I'll show you guys this as I get my demonstration in a moment. You're going to cinch that, all right? You're going to kind of rock that over a candle flame, all right? You're going to first drench it in your urine to get it wet and moist so that flame does not combust the whole thing, but you're going to add heat to it, all right? And same when you would do kind of like with a Toby, when you would have it over that candle flame, rock it back and forth and speak to it. Return back home, leave that girl alone, whatever the case may be. Come back to my bed. You're feeling, you're feeling hot for me, etc., etc., etc. All right. Now, as far as the amount, really odd numbers, okay, are traditional. because odd numbers are dynamic. You look at number theory, even as far back as we go as Plato, all right, excuse me, Pythagoras, and number theory. The idea that even numbers are passive and odd numbers are active. Think of this. Things that are stable and that are unmoving normally are set on fours. Four legs of a chair, four bases of a pyramid, four wheels on a car, etc. The idea is that it's going to create a stable base. It's not going to move. All right. But you want your mojo to be active, to be dynamic. So we add an odd number there to offset the evenness with an oddness, right? Whether it's 3, you can go to the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, etc. Whether it's 7, lucky number 7, even up to 21 ingredients. Now, you may say, how do you practically get 21 ingredients into a mojo bag? Powder it down. All right, powder it down. If you're making a packet, a bundle, those of you who follow me on social media, you may have seen where I did a gambling hand, a good luck hand, for a client, and what I added was 2 deer toes bound together with the client's personal concerns and blockbuster, good luck, and road opening powders on that. Now, as it relates to a mojo bag, I count all of that as one ingredient. Okay? I consider that a packet or a bundle. That's just like the heart of your mojo, which gets me to my part number 2 of this. Outside of construction, how do they work? Remember, what you're adding to your mojo serves 2 purposes. One, they are the organs. Remember, we're talking about building a person. All right. They are the organs of your mojo bag. All right. The heart, the liver, the stomach, the spleen, the lungs, etc. Each of them serve a particular function. All right. And while you are putting them in the bag, keep in mind what this function is for. And I speak that oftentimes to the plant or to the animal curio that I'm using. Why? Because in most cases, the plant you chose, the animal you chose, has multiple faculties. It's multiple faculties. So how do you know, or how does it know which one you're asking it for? Okay. For example, rue. All right. Rue is definitely very protective, but it's also used to draw money, depending upon what society you live in. So is this a rue to draw money, or is it rue to protect? Let the rue plant know, what you needed to do, or it's multifaceted. Add that into your mojo bag as an organ. Secondly, seeing that the mojo has a spirit in it, what you've put in the bag work like a microcosmic world. All right. Not only are these organs, but on another level, they are tools. All right. That the spirit can use. Okay. So you're going to give it fangs or claws so it can defend and protect and attack. Right. You are going to give it a shell so that it can guard and surround. Right. And so on and so forth. All right. So these work not only as organs, but also as tools that the spirit in the mojo can utilize to perform its function. Now, how does the mojo actually work? Which is what most people can't tell you. We know that it does work, but what is the actual science? What is the actual, we've got the technology down, Pepper. What's the actual science behind how the mojo works? What is how it works? When you create a mojo bag, you have an intention, an objective in mind. money, mastery, love, protection, whatever. Because this is an amulet, in which case amulets are distinguished by the fact that they are naturally occurring materials or organic materials that have their own natural virtues. Okay. So for example, quartz is kind of an all-purpose crystal, or amethyst is going to heighten intuitive capabilities. Whether you believe in it or not, that's the actual innate ability of that stone to do. So the amulet draws and it works upon the natural power of that curio, of that mineral, of that plant, of that animal, etc. So you have to believe in it. Just like you don't have to believe in, you don't have to believe eating too much henbane is going to kill you or make you very, very sick. You don't have to believe in that. You don't have to believe, mixing ammonia and Clorox is not a good idea. You don't have to believe in it. All right. It's going to work. The old folks will say the root is going to do what the root is going to do. Believe in it or not. That's how amulets work. In the same way, your Mojo bag has an objective in mind you've given it. The reason why we want it to be held upon the person is it is going to begin to radiate the objective you've given it. Like an aura, it's going to begin to it's going to produce a radiation. All right. You keep that close to your person because over time, if you got a money mojo, it's going to begin to throw out that money radiation, money radiation, money radiation, money radiation, money radiation, money radiation. After a while, having that on your person is going to begin to infect, inoculate, induce that radiation into your own aura. And what begins to happen? You now begin to send out the signal for money, and it begins to come to you. All right. So the science of mojos is spiritual radiation. They radiate a force. They radiate a signal, an intention, a prayer, or whatever. All right. And while it's on the person, over time, it begins to slowly infect your aura with that same radiation until you yourself begin to also radiate, the call for love, or to radiate mastery, control, influence, dominance, clarity, kingliness, princeliness, success, wealth, abundance, power, intimacy, seduction, etc., 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 etc. Victory. All right. So now your mojo has given you a type of, lack of a better word, radiation poisoning in a good sense. All right. This is why we don't make cursing mojos to carry on our person. You begin to call that misfortune to you. All right. Now, here is how I tell my clients to attune themselves to it. As you guys know, I am a Bible conjurer, for lack of a better term. All right. I conjure with my Bible. So I will give the client instructions. And depending upon how strong the mojo is, all right, you may say, well, how do we determine strength? By making it. Strength, whether it's, double strength, extra strength, or whatever, is determined by a number of factors. And it depends upon the worker. They can consider strength according to how many ingredients are added. That's one way. They may consider strength according to how exotic or how rare or hard to find the materials are, right? So if you get a double strength mojo bag, it may have the same ingredients as any other one, but the ingredients chosen may be rare or harder to find, all right? A triple strength or an extra strength may be even that much more harder to find of these materials added. Another may be how long is the ritual that the conjurer went through to make the mojo, all right? When I make Mojo bags for certain clients, depending upon the strength of the Mojo, it may be based upon, yes, how rare they are. Yes, I kind of do a combination of all three, but predominantly, it is how long does the ritual call for. Mojo bags that I make, they may sit on my altar for 3 days, a week, 9 days. It may be that I may need to go and bury that Mojo bag somewhere to really draw uh, and to really charge that Mojo bag with the energy of that place. All right. Particularly like obviously, road opener or blockbuster Mojo. I may bury them at a railroad track. I may bury them at a crossroads. All right. Why? I want it to be under the sheer weight and force of a locomotive bursting through those tracks. Right. What's gonna stop a locomotive? Nothing. Put a car there, it's going to keep going. Put you there, it's going to keep going. It's got that force, that strength to break through any blockage, right? I may, if it's an old road not traveled a lot, and I see a pothole, is it really like a dirt hole, really? I will go and bury that Mojo bag in that pothole and cover it up and come back after a few days, right? So I know it's got that energy. So depending upon how many days that ritual takes, all right, that's how I consider if it's going to be a regular strength or extra strong or double strength or whatever the case may be. Also, what is added into it, okay? As far as regular strength may be, your herbs and things like that, minerals or whatever. Double strength, they may actually add an animal curio into it. Or triple strength, they may actually add a human, all right, curio into that, a human tooth or a human bone or something of that nature into the bag, okay? So all of those are varying angles. If you're picking up that idea, I just advise you to stay consistent. All right, stay consistent. Is it going to be based upon time and duration of ritual? Is it going to be based upon how rare the ingredients are? Is it going to be based upon how many ingredients are in there? Is it going to be based upon what ingredients you use? You see, just stay consistent, throughout your process. What I tell them to do is, my client that is, to attune this back to them. Keep it on your person for 7 days. This is to get that bag used to you, all right? Because what I'm not doing during my construction process, I'm not carrying your Mojo bag on me. This is to take it somewhere, all right? It's on my altar. It is in the ground somewhere, or whatever the case may be, all right? It may be hanging from a tree in some location or whatever, but it's not. That's for you to. That's to tune it to you. Again, I'm the surrogate. Okay, not trying to get attached to your baby. It's your baby. How do you get to that nursing part of your? Again, it's a living entity. I give them, I say, at least a week. Again, depending upon what I've made for them. I may say do this for 9 days. I may say do this for 13 days. I may say, y'all know I'm famous for doing 21-day ritual, where I want you to light a candle, feed your Mojo bag, and recite this prayer, or normally it is a verse. Depending upon my client, if they're kind of new to this or they're kind of novices in this, then I kind of keep it limited to the Psalms. That's kind of, hoodoo generic, all right? And I'll give them a chapter of the Psalms to read, all right, every day for that first 7 days. This is going to attune them and attune that bag to them, all right? It works on a number of levels. I've seen incredible results from this. Number one, it builds a ritual in the person's mind. Number two, it makes a place and space for them to have a devotional aspect with their Mojo bag. It becomes an intimate moment with them, because you're not just going to, dress your bag and put it aside. You're going to hold it in your hand and bring it to your mouth. I want your words to fall on the Mojo. I want you to be able to feel your words vibrate through the Mojo bag. That's what brings it to life. That's what keeps it living. In the same way, a baby in the mother's womb hears the mother speaking. It knows the mother's voice by the vibration it feels. It feels that heartbeat. All right, that heartbeat. When I bring it back to life, all right, I am breathing into it. I am praying into it. I'm going to show this to you guys in a moment. I may be singing to it. All right, and what I have been taught is that, when making a Mojo bag, add a song to it. Okay, add a song to it. And what happens is, if you need that Mojo bag to work for you, okay, it's about rhythm. All right, let me talk about this. Rhythm activates the Mojo bag. Let me go into this chapter of my notes. Whether it's a song or a beat or whatever the case may be. Let's say, for example, you are I've made Mojo bags of people going on game shows and they've won, particularly trivia shows, and they are trying to recall a fact or whatever. And what we'll often do is we will say we'll do this kind of thing. Really, what we're doing, we're patting, right? We're snapping. We're saying What is that? That's rhythm. All right. Do that with your Mojo. If you're in a game show, get your Mojo bag, pat your Mojo bag with a rhythm. All right, and have it be a specific rhythm that you and it knows, just like you would have a particular name that you and it knows. These are ways to call and activate your Mojo bag. For me, what I do, just being old school holiness Pentecostal, when I make Mojo bags, speaking for myself, there's a song I'm singing with it, with a beat. So whenever I need it to really activate, I just begin to hum that song. All right, I just begin to hum that song. Speak to your Mojo bag. Call it by its name, at least under your breath, right? And pat on it, right? Rub on it. Make some type of physical contact with it, just like your mother would do with a baby, right? Aren't you precious? Aren't you cute? Look at you, goo goo gaga, etc., etc. Remember, this is a living entity. That's why I'm using the example or the logic of creating a baby. Okay. Bring it up to your mouth. Speak not just to it, speak into it. Literally be able to feel your words vibrate. All right. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. My rod and my staff, they shall comfort me. So it works on that level. Also, another level, your client, after about 7 days of reciting that same prayer or that same chapter, they begin to get it to memory. And what does that mean? Now that becomes a spell or whatever to activate because your Mojo now knows, listen, every time I hear this, I'm getting fed, I'm being asked to work. Right? You train your Mojo in that way. All right. You train your Mojo in that way. Okay. Now, I got 4 minutes in this section here. When choosing ingredients, there is there's a couple ways to look at this. I'm trying to figure out how I can word this, but no. We won't use that. When you're okay, I'll put it in here because it's relevant. When making fetishes, then you would be speaking with the spirit. All right. Really, you're building a house for that spirit, and it will tell you what it needs in there. All right. Like, for example, you guys can't see, you probably won't ever see, but I've got a Saint Cyprian fetish, all right, who has been seated in his pot. He's been loaded down. He told me what he needed to work. All right. Most of my statues or saints or whatever have been their fetishes. All right. They've been loaded and they've been seated. Working with a Mojo bag, you're the one putting your own breath into this. All right. Here's what you can do. You can go in your cupboard or wherever your herbs, whatever are. Let's say you want to do a love working. And you look and then you say, okay, I've got 5 or I've got 10 or whatever potential herbs to use. All right. You say, okay, I want it to protect. I've got all these herbs to use. You can get a pendulum. You can get a pendulum. And you can just go, or you can use any of your divination methods. This is how you customize a bag for a client, particularly how I do it. All right. Unless they order a bag already made or already has a recipe for that, they're getting a custom bag done. They tell me their situation. I kind of have a synopsis of what they need, and I go begin to pull out, my arsenal. I don't just dump everything in there in the kitchen sink. I go to each individual one and I ask them, all right, will you work on this case? All right, do I need to choose you? And they'll say yes or no and keep it moving. Now I know from jump, okay, I've got a certain amount of ingredients to add to my bag. So I know out of the 50 I've got on this table, I can only use 7 of these. All right. Yes. Is it time consuming? Yes. But does it give you accurate results? Yes. It is being deliberate. It takes the guessing out of things because the spirits tell you, yes, I will work in this capacity. I say yes to this, or I say no. I'm not the guy for that. Okay. So that's how I customize bags to clients. All right. Another way to customize a bag is to take an existing recipe that I have and then just add their personal concerns into that bag. All right. Or they can customize it at home because what they dress it with. I may tell them dress this with your urine, dress this with your sexual fluids, dress this with your saliva. All right. Or spray rum on this from your mouth, etc. Y'all know I'm big on spring rum. Okay. I'm big on drinking it too. If you just happen to want to bless the man of God, just send me some rum. Thank you. What to dress your Mojo bag with? I know I'm going to go over my time. A lot of this is going to be covered in extensive detail in you guys supplemental material. All right. You guys are getting 4 or 5 videos. All right. On top of this, plus your other stuff as your extra bonus. Yeah, you can do oils or whatever. Let me give you guys some tips and tricks here, okay? If you're in my class, if you ever decide to get in my class, one thing you'll know is one of our mottos: nothing goes to waste. I am a tolerance and I like wasting stuff. Everything is reduce, reuse, and recycle. If you are an oil maker, all right, some of you in here, you make your own oils and you've got, your own ingredients in there. Well, what do you do when all the oil is gone? You're stuck with just your roots and herbal bits or whatever. Don't you know you can use that in a Mojo bag? Yeah. You can take one thing and make it multiple things. So you've made, I don't have an example with me because I just showed this to my class on Wednesday, so I'm all out. But I'm trying to, something I can put my hand on right quick. No, that's not gonna work. Yeah, okay, that might work. Yeah, give me 1 second. Sorry, I didn't have this already. Okay, yeah, this will work. Okay. Not exactly what I wanted to get, but this will work. All right. So this used to be a cologne. All right. Let's say this was an oil. All right. This has got a hydrogen roots in it. It's got massa root in here. Okay. I poured all my oil off of here. Okay. But I still got some roots and powders and dirts and stuff down at the bottom. What do I do with that, Doc? Can I add more oil into it? Certainly you can. But be mindful of this. After a while, alchemically speaking, you're not going to be able to get any more plant essence off of that because the oils after time are going to begin to get they're going to extract all they can out of them. We're going to be left with the material anyway. Use that and make it into a Mojo bag of the same use. If you made a Crown of Success oil, all my oil makers out there, I'm trying to help you out here. All right. What do you do to little bits here? Now you've got a Crown of Success Mojo bag and a Crown of Success oil. Look at that. Put a little out, ship it out to your people. Give you a third thing you can do. If they've got oil on them, you don't want, for me, I don't like my Mojo bags to drench in oil because, like I said, I don't like sanding my clothes. What you do is take out your material, get you 2-ply paper towel, all right, and fold your material, plants or whatever, into the paper towel, like a little envelope, and get you some grain alcohol. All right, you could use rubbing alcohol to make a liniment, but we're not talking about that right now. Use grain alcohol, any high proof alcohol, vodka will work, all right, and kind of drench your plant material and your paper towel with grain alcohol. It will help to draw those oils, the excess oil off your material. Now, I'm gonna show you guys this in a little bit when I move over into my other workspace. What you can also do is, before you prepare your Mojo bag, all right, you've taken yourself out of your oil bottle, all right, they still got oil on them, you drain off a lot of it, sit it in a little container of grain alcohol. This is going to remove the excess oil, yes, and then strain off the rest. So now you've got this kind of oil / tincture mixture. Put that in the bottle. Now you've got to have a perfume you can perfume your bag with. So from one recipe, you've got an oil, you've got a cologne basically, or an alcohol-based feed, and yeah, I'm missing all y'all questions, I'm sorry. And a Mojo bag. Or I always thought so, yes. All right. Yes. Can a Mojo have multiple uses? Great question. Great question. Again, this is my personal opinion. I don't go for that. I don't go for that. I don't go for that, and I also don't necessarily go for the all-purpose bag. And I'll tell you why. It's a personal thing, and it's from what I've observed from other workers who weren't ethical, who would just put anything. In other words, their all-purpose bag would be like the Hoodoo Formula number 20 oil. If you remember, because you know what that is. That's whatever we got left over oil. Okay, so that's an issue. A person can build one for themselves. The closest thing I've found to a good all-purpose Mojo bag that I would go with, what we call it, personal power Mojo bag, all right, which is really just to exude your own charisma in any area, all right. It's kind of in the area of mastery bags, but not necessarily so. But those would definitely have your personal concerns in them, always. But great question there. All right. Can you wear more than one Mojo bag at once? Yes, you can. I do it all the time. I don't know. That's all the reason why you want the size to be relative. All right. And it gets me to my other question, my other point here. You can switch up. All right. So when I make planetary amulets, which is basically planetary or astrologically based style Mojo bags, all right. The client is to wear this or to work this, whether it's do the consecration process, on a particular day every week. If it's a sun amulet on Sunday, a Jupiter amulet on Thursday. What if you have multiple? That's fine. Wear them on their corresponding days, right? And likewise, you can wear your Love Mojo on Fridays and then your successful with Victory Mojo, whatever, on Sundays, and then your intuitive psychic power mojo on Mondays. Okay, so you can alternate them out. How long will the average well cared for bag live? Great question. I tell people, get them redone about once a year. All right. And there are a number of ways to look at this. How do you know if your bag is dead? Divination. There's a practical side. Is it still working? No. See if it's dead. It may not be dead. It may just need to be quickened. Kind of wake it up a little bit. All right. There is a difference. Some bags go inert. Some bags go dormant. They go to sleep basically from misuse, or I shouldn't say misuse, from non-use. They've been in the drawer for 2 years. Okay. Check to see if it is dead. You can use a pendulum for that, yes or no. In most cases, it just needs to be reinvigorated. All right. And what you can do to do that is this kind of old school stuff. So you would get hot rum. By hot rum, we mean not necessarily it's warm, but we mean it's got a high proof. All right. I use Everclear. I use Ray and Nephew rum, whatever. And you want to take 21 guinea peppers. Okay. And you want to spray that. You want to crush those guinea peppers up in your mouth, mix that with your saliva and the rum, and spray that. Get 3 strong blasts onto your mojo bag. All right. And that should shock it back into, it should invigorate, is what we call it, reinvigorating that mojo bag. What's the other thing? Let me check my notes here. No. Talk about number of ingredients. Yeah. Personal concerns, to talk about that. Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, yeah, so here we go. Reinvigoration. All right. Normally about once a year, okay, is about 13 months or so is a good one to look at. All right. I'm gonna pause these questions here, and because I'm getting with my notes and I've got to get to we're already at 8:15 now. Obviously, beyond if it's still working or not, what does it look like? Does it look like it's had enough? It's tired, worn out, it's frayed, it's got a hole. If it's got a hole in it, it's time to replace that thing. All right. It may just need to be refreshed. All right. Refreshing a bag and invigorating a bag are not the same thing. Refreshing me, I'm going to open this bag up. All right. Now, that's what I tell you. Only 2 people, actually the only person that should be opening up your bag is the creator of it. If you're that creator, then that would be you. If you're not, send it back to your worker, unless they've given you instructions otherwise to say this bag can be opened up on a regular basis for whatever reason. Okay. But that's what I tell my people. If you made your own or you made it, then yes, you can open it up. If you did not make it, then send it back or whatever, or contact your worker on what to do next. What they're normally going to do to refresh that bag is simply, replace the cloth or, whatever materials in there. And if there are any, they may remake a new petition paper for you. That's what's in there. They may replace some of the herbs in there. Okay. They may take out some of the hard material like your roots or your like cowrie shield or your minerals, whatever, and rinse those off, feed them or whatever, and then add them back in, tie it back up, whatever the case may be, and then send that back to you. That's refreshing it. All right. Yeah. So in your supplemental video, there's going to be about it's going to talk about that's also going to talk about how to if the bag is dead. I don't my time's getting away from me. I don't need to go back and repeat what y'all are going to see anyway. If the bag is dead, how to give it its last rites, how to properly dismantle that bag. There's a video on that's a 7 minute and 32 I watched it earlier today. 7 minutes and 32-second video on how to do that. All right. All right. So the kind of bag. So if it's made out of paper, normally we call those paquettes. All right, normally those are paquettes, paper paquettes, which is a little bit different than the wong I talked about earlier. The wonga packets, which is Vodou, which is more like a bundle, a cloth bundle. But in most cases, the packet is basically a name paper or petition paper wrap, and you take your personal concerns and maybe some powders or a little bit of herbs or whatever, and then fold that into each other and tie that. Okay, I like to do that. Then I also, after I've tied it, I'll also move it through wax to kind of give it some hardness, some stiffness to it, so it will withstand for a while. All right, talked about leather before, like using leather as well. Talked about cloth as well. About that. So does it always have to be red? No, it can be an appropriate color if you want to. Red is the go-to all-purpose color. This goes back, in my opinion, again, back to the Congo with the Minkisi, where the fetishes were made in cloth, and they became red from blood sacrifice. All right, that was brought over, and then of course also flannel, which is what I use, or cotton is a cotton derivative. Down here in the South, you can get a lot of that very easily. If you know anything about Southern culture, you know that cotton is king. All right, so your made out of paper, your paquettes, made out of cloth, such as flannel, whatever, made out of leather. And by leather, that can be any type of animal hide, by extension of that, whether that's a scrotum piece or whatever, deer hide, etc. All right. Oh, and then of course, if you're making a Toby or jack ball, then it would really be made out of string. Really, you would kind of make a packet basically, and instead of just tying it off, you would keep tying and keep wrapping and keep tying and keep wrapping until it formed a sphere around it that you would then loop off, and I leave mine hanging. And you can rot like a pendulum. Okay, here are some examples here. All right, of a couple of styles, and I'll show you. This is one here, kind of the comet style or a gree style, which is more with a four square. You pull up, all right, pull them up by the four corners into a bundle, make a neck of that, tie it off. All right, and we'll get into about tying. Should you use a knot? Should you not use a knot, etc. And then I seal these up with wax. All right, this is one style. All right, one you may often see. Now, what you don't see that I use, for whatever reason, I don't do these styles because most of my mojos don't have to be opened up once they've been made. Okay, but these drawstring types are very good for opening them up. Okay. Another step, which is what I'm going to show you. Let me get into this. Going to get into my presentation. So the spirit showed me a unique way to make mojos. All right, and as far as I've seen it nowhere else done like this anywhere. So what you're going to learn, I'm gonna be able to see who does it because it's going to be my signature mojo. All right, so just make sure you give credit where credit is due. But I love this style. I love it. I love it. I love to teach my students to it. And I think you guys are going to like it. All right. But it gives you this look. All right. Here is one that I've made. This is a very, very small one. It's a very, very small one. All right. And it's very particular how there's a reason why that's black. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right. You may be able to see some writing on there. Those are different signatures I've drawn on it. All right. And if you've not received, if you want to do the whole signature thing on your cloth bag, you can. If you want to, draw hearts, I recommend you do it on the inside of the bag. You can also write on the cloth what your prayer is, what your petition is. All right. Use your cloth like a name paper, people. All right. That's what I was going to say. So the same guy I told you guys that taught me about putting crushed eggshell powder and charcoal. This is what he used to do. So he would write on the Mojo cloth, gotcha. So if you went to open it up, it would say, gotcha, or I see you, something crazy like that. Okay. Or they may, some they may sign their name in the bag, like I'm like a signature. They may put their client's name in the bag, etc. All right. Here's another larger than this is one like this. Okay. I'm gonna show you exactly how I made this. All right. This incorporates both the comet style, which is kind of you just tie it up, and the drawstring style in one. Okay. Here's another one for personal pirates. He has a purple bag here. Okay. Now this one I've actually opened. I've opened and refreshed what was in here. All right. And that's why there's no wax around it. All right. There's no wax around it. Okay. So all right. So yeah, to get back to that point, I recommend not having. Let me stop asking you questions and let me go set up over here. Y'all give me a second. I know our time is getting away from us. Please forgive that. I'll be right back. Let me set up here. All right. Let me see if I can. All right. Let me change this so we won't get no feedback. All right, so a couple of things I have set up here for you, and I just am going to kind of go with the flow here. This is what I wanted to show you guys. So this is what I would do. This is from my blessing oil. All right, this is what I was telling you guys about, the leftover stuff. All right, the leftover stuff. And what I did was the oil was separated and the separated and bottled, and also the I poured, like I said, grain alcohol over this, let it steep overnight, and then pour that off into this. All right, this is going to be our Mojo feed. All right, it's got all the ingredients in there. It's got the oil. It's also got a little bit of alcohol in there as well. All right, we're going to use this as what we're going to put in our Mojo. So literally it's going to become a, as it were, a blessing Mojo bag. All right, so what I have here is a red flannel. Okay, red flannel. These are examples. I'll get to that after my demonstration. All right. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do when I do my workings is open up the space. I've got one of my familiars here. This is the animal skull here. I'm be working in front of, under his aegis. I'm going to light a candle. Here's my lighter here. All right. Yeah, I think my It's time for a new one. I got a match somewhere. Wow. Yeah, I got one somewhere. All right. There we go. We got that. That candle going. Okay, great. So I have a square fabric here, and I've got I drew a circle here because we're going to cut this part out. We're going to stitch this. All right. And this is really a 7-inch diameter circle. All right, which is enough space for a common size Mojo basket that I make. All right, and you can make them large or small as you need to, but I think that's pretty standard. All right. Now, like I said, we're going to go ahead and give him some smoke and some rum, so he's happy, and then we'll get into our demonstration here. Y'all know if y'all work with me on any level, y'all know that one thing Doc does, Doc keep a cigar, a candle, and rum somewhere close by, right? There we go. All right. So our space has been established, call it consecrated, whatever you want to call it, set up. Yeah, the candle went out, no biggie. All right, so we're going to first cut this out here. All right. Now, what I want you to be aware of is that on this, you can write out, like I said, you can add your sort of signatures here, like dollar signs or hearts, whatever the case may be. This is supposed to be like a love drawing mojo. You may put a heart, much like you would do, make this your petition paper, basically. You may put a heart and you may see, John plus Jane Doe, something to that effect, right? You may write your prayer out on here, in fact, okay? Or a series of verses, etc. Right? You can get very creative with that portion. And again, it's not even necessary, all right? You can work on both sides of this, all right? Depending upon what your mojo bag is to accomplish, all right? But what you want to do, this is what really is going to set the power. This is what sets mine apart from anybody else's and theirs from mine, is what we call the ashe. And ashe is a word that in this context means force, all right? The animating force of something, its power, its ability, its gift, its charisma, what is God-given force, all right? And the way I put mine in here, in my mojo bags that I make for myself, for my clients, is through prayer, all right? Now, like I said, I come from a holiness background, so we don't pray so much in English as we do in tongues. So I'm going to pray to activate. I'm going to pray my intention into this bag of what it's supposed to be doing. Then we're going to go from there. Yarande konde konde bidi bidi ushkanda nande bidi nanda bansaya mandi oshama yande lego koko mayanti kian sebe indanda no mandi osha randa yande yande lele yando konko mana siki amando nanda lele obo randa ilele me andi anande osoma nana somebody koko maya yanda nikaya nandi osonde Ekendereri bu kumkumana sikimenderi onda. Rondo monzeberi anshanda. Rembandi oshkomba komba mamansokomba yada. Liki an zan zan zegoba manandi ramando korambezede. gotta make every part of this intimate and personal. Even before I even cut the cloth for the bag, every portion of this. And you want that because that's what's going to add. People ask me, how do I make something powerful? It is not skipping steps out like that. It is making every step intentional, every step intimate, every step count. All right. Every chance you get to pour power, energy, or whatever into it, do so. Now, see, in this case, as a blessing mojo, I could write in here, almost kind of like in a spirit trap style or in a spiral. I could write the Lord's Prayer, or Psalm 23 would be a good one. Okay, that's a very good blessing. Blessing verse. Or you can put an affirmation here. You know, whatever your leaning and your bent is, go for that. All right. Okay, so we've got that. All right. You've got it out like this. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take a needle here. All right. And thread. All right. I'm going to use white. Here we go. All right. And again, you can use whatever appropriate color for this portion. When we do in my advanced class on the taro, we talk about how to use the taro to make these Mojo bag amulets. And one of the things we talk about is how to develop color theory for your amulets. I would say for me, I would rather, you know, an old man used to tell my dad's better have and don't need than to need and don't have. So I normally get a little bit more, a little extra than what I'm going to need there. All right, cut that part off right there. And then just go ahead and thread. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at the needle. Normally I do it this way, that's why. Oh, come on now. Now, with this thread the needle, all right, like I mentioned before, at this point, I could douse this in roux oil or something like that, or any other conjure oil, okay? I'm going to actually, I've got something right here I'm going to do. I prefer to use oils on the thread simply because it makes it easier to stitch, actually. It's more of a practical thing there. So I'm going to use this High John oil I've got here. All right, just a little bit on my fingers. All right, just like that. I'm going to use that to just anoint this thread. Like I said, any chance you get, all right, to add an extra layer of power or whatever, you know, to put in oils or whatever the case may be, do so. Do so. All of those create multiple layers of power and force and energy in your mojo. Tell you that, we're going to tie this off here. All right. Now, what you're going to do here, all right, is I think they call this a running stitch. All right. So you want about I would say about a fingernail's length or whatever, so into there, and start your running stitch. Okay. Now, it was suggested to me to have a certain amount of stitches in here to correspond to the uh, to the need of the bag. I never found it to be practical. Personally, you might otherwise. But what I have found is that praying while you're stitching, singing your song while you're stitching, okay, again, is going to add more force. I'm trying to teach you how to make your stuff very, very powerful, how to make it move. And this is also one of the reasons why I prefer this method over than just putting herbs in a bag, though that has its merit as well. All right. Depending upon what your command or demand is, then you may recite that every time you pierce your cloth. Remember, this is building a body. And so what have we done? We've cut the skin out. Remember, this bag represents the skin of the bag. All right. So you can say, John Doe, come back. John Doe, come back. John Doe, come back. And what happens over a period of time, you're still stitching this, you begin to go into a trance with this, and you begin to create a vibration, the literal vibration of the tone of your voice into your bag. That will literally, with every stitch, you are repeating your command. All right. I will prosper. Here's a good one for this particular bag. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed beyond measure. You may begin to read Deuteronomy 28. I'm blessed in the city. I'm blessed in the field. I'm blessed when I come. I'm blessed when I go. I'm blessed in my rising. I'm blessed in my setting. So on and so forth, right? Let's pull this out here. All right. All right. So we kind of see we're kind of getting a bag shape, aren't we? Right? I'm blessed in my stores. I'm blessed when I come. I'm blessed when I go. I'm blessed in my home. I'm blessed in my rising. I'm blessed in my setting. I'm blessed, and so on and so on and so forth. So you want to come back out that way. All right? You want to come back out that way because you're really making a drawstring bag. All right. So we've got it like that. That's how your end should look. These two should be on the outside. All right. Now on the end, if you get on the inside, just flip your bag over. All right. So we've got it like that. All right. And you can stretch it out a little bit. You got a lot of thread here. That's why I did that the way that I did it. All right. But also, if we draw this up, all right, we know we've got a bag. Okay. Let me get this back as flat as I can. There we go. There we go. All right. So with that, like, so you put these over there. All right. This is hydrogen oil. All right. You can also, furthermore, put a signature or symbol in here. I'm going to use just a cross here. This is one of the reasons I love using these bottles for my oils, because I can get so much control over how they come out. I'm just going to shake this up really, really good. There's things like the seal on the bottom. I'm just going to draw a cross. All right, right in my Mojo bag. All right, of my oil. Okay. Now you could have done a heart. You could have done whatever the case may be. All right. If it was for master, you might have drawn a hand in there, right? Etc. Okay. Most somewhat aesthetic, but it also has an idea of the crossroads as well, the meeting place of energy, etc. And also, it already has a little bit of oil in it, all right, from the base. Now, next what we're going to do is, all right, these have already been blessed and consecrated. So I won't do that portion with you, but in the supplemental video, it shows all of that as you're putting in each of those materials, what you're calling it to do, right, as you're speaking to it, all right. In this case, all right, here we've got some of this I forgot was even in here, honestly. I've had this blessing oil for so long, okay, but we're going to add these pieces in here. All right, I'm going to add these pieces in here. Just like so. All right. Now, as I've said before, I like to certainly add powders to my bags. All right. Now take about, let's say, half a teaspoon. All right. Well, gotta put it back up. I think I did, unfortunately. Make sure my camera is still good. Okay, it's still good. We will add some powders there. It's not necessarily powders proper, it's just going to ground up a lot better. But here are powders here. All right. And of course, that also includes, your dirts and all of that great stuff. Just like that. All right. As a side note to you guys as well, if you're going through, you may be asking, okay, where's a good place to get Mojo recipes? You probably already come across them, just never thought of that. In the sense that if you're looking up oil recipes and they're calling for, add these essential oils, why not just add the actual plant into a Mojo bag? So now you've got your oil and you got a Mojo bag from the same recipe. You see, they really work along similar lines here. All right. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to draw this Mojo bag up. Well, first of all, I need to clip this part off with where the needle is and tie a knot there. I apologize, I'm not saying that soon. All right, tying a knot there like that. All right, so we're going to draw this up here. All right, take a little piece out of there. All right, like so. Okay, just like that. Now, I'm not done quite yet. I'm not going to tie this back off quite yet, okay, because I need to breathe life into it. All right, and the way I do that is with cigar smoke. Of course, you would say your prayer here, whatever the case may be. He took me into a valley of dry bones. The bones are dislocated, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I said unto him, Sovereign Lord, you and you alone know. And he said unto me, Son of man, prophesy to the four winds, they will come and breathe life into these bones, that they may rise up and live and be a vast and exceeding army. And so I did as I was commanded. I prophesied to the four winds. And so I speak to the north wind, the south wind, the east wind, the west wind to come from all directions, from all dimensions, to breathe life into the work of my hands. In the same way that God breathed the breath of life into Adam's nostrils, he became a living soul. I breathe life into you. Let's do a shotgun style here. Just like so. Now that I will tie up like so. All right. Now, here is some of the more technical parts of this. So you see we've got these two drawstrings here, right? Made of two threads. We're going to kind of make a slip knot situation. We're going to take one of these, open it up like so, add the other one into it like that. All right. Okay. And then we're just going to pull like that. All right. We're just going to pull. Okay. Now, with that, the question comes up about tying mojos. All right. Should there be a knot in it? Okay. I get the logic behind it. They say you don't want to tie a knot into a mojo because, you know, the devil hides in knots, etc. Now, if you're making something for cursing work, then knots work very, very good because they knock people up, they knock them down, or knock them up, rather, I should say. They knock them together. So that's okay. The old preacher said the devil hides in knots. That hides in corners. The devil is hiding everywhere. I don't know where you can't find them. So the way we do this is take your finger like that, wrap downward. All right, come up, and then, you know, pull your thread between your finger and the bag. All right, that will tie it. All right, excuse me. That will tie it, but it will not knot it. All right, and it will form kind of like this cross situation. Right, you've got cross, like the crossroads. All right, pull that tight, form like a little neck here. Do the same thing again. All right. And tight. All right, and the same thing again. All right, one for the Father, one for the Son, one for the Holy Ghost. All right, now at this point, you want to kind of feel around in your bag. All right, make sure you don't have any pieces that are going to, you know, cause a problem later because they're protruding out. All right, everything should be good. Nothing in here just probably could be, there we go, just like that. All right, so all good there. Now I'm going to, this is a very long piece of string here. I'm going to shorten this a little bit. All right, so we're gonna knot it off though. Okay, like so. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap this. I'm going to wrap it tightly. Okay, and as I pull, I'm going to lean down a little bit because I want it to get under the last ring of string. Just like that. Pull, tie that under that. Just like that. Pull, tie that under that. The reason for this is very much so practical. I want to get my knot tied down under there, just like so. All right, so this is what we got so far. Got a little bundle so far. All right, like that. Now, remember I said that this is a human being, or this is a creature that we're making here, a living entity. And so the bag itself is like skin, for example. Okay. So what do we do when you do a surgery? You have to stitch the skin up. Is what we did. We stitched the bag up. Remember we cut the circle out of the square. We made an incision, as it were. We stitched that up. We also need to cauterize it. So what my spirits gave me to do is, you see these little frayed edges here? All right, this is actually not pulled up evenly, but it'll work nonetheless for demonstrations. Little frayed edges here. We're going to take our candle flame and we're going to very safely, all right, singe these edges. All right, just singe the edges like that. That's what give it that dark black color. All right. Not only that, when you burn it and it singes like that, it's going to firm up, or harden rather, the fabric. Okay. Now, the last portion of this we're going to do, we're going to take our candle, we're going to begin to drip our wax. All right. We're going to work our way from the top. We're going to cover the whole top portion here. And now this is really going to cause the thing to stiffen and harden. So it will last over a long period of time. All right. Once you've got the top there, then we're going to start turning on the side and try to get the edges. All right. You're using a cloth like I am. This flannel is going to absorb this wax very easily, which is what you want. And that's the wax harden. It's also going to harden the fabric. It's going to be turning, 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 turning. All right. Make sure to get your string drenched as well. You don't want that coming apart later. Remember to keep turning my candle also. There we go. Keep going. You want to come all the way down to the neck of the bag, including the thread. All right. Make sure your thread is soaked in wax. Make sure this is tight. So I said make sure that everything is tight here. All right. Is this meticulous? Yes. But again, like I said, this what makes it an art form and also a science. We'll go over again. I'm gonna get just a little bit under the thread as well. All right, but I'm not going to wax down the whole bag, because if you do that, you can't feed it. All right. Now, you can have used an appropriate colored candle, and it will show, the color will show up. It may turn blue or green if it's like a money drawing Mojo, something like that. It'll work perfectly fine. Make sure that you've got everything tight in there before the wax dries. All right, and it will harden. Okay, like so. All right, now that we've gotten that, let this harden a little bit. It didn't take long. And again, even blowing on it, you're still breathing on it. All right, you're still breathing on it. All right, so we've got that. Okay. What we're going to do is, like I showed you guys before, I'm going to add some guinea peppers here. Now, like I said, if you're refreshing, you would do like 21. This is really just for proof of concept, really. So pick this. Just like that. we can give some oil. And because, like I said, I don't like mine to, ruin my pants. When I oil mine, I try to oil it right after the wax seal. So it is not coming out from all sides. Right under the collar there. All right. Last thing is, if you had a prayer associated with this or an intention, whatever the case may be, then this is the point you would take your candle here. It should be drenched. It should be wet and moist to the touch, noticeably so. All right. You're taking passes through your candle flame. All right. Reciting whatever your prayer is or what have you. You only need to do this the first time. All right. This comes back from the Congo. All right. Because heat is an activator. All right. Do so quickly as to not to burn the bag, but to put heat under it. All right, just like so. Okay, just to get the bag warm. That's why you say you want it to be fully drenched. All right. That's going to activate the ingredients in your bag. All right. And folks, that's it. Feed them both there together. And there it is. All right. Let me all right. So now y'all can bomb me with questions for the next 20 or so minutes here. Was that let me know what you think about the demonstration and so on. All right. Mojo bags responding to certain songs or patterns sounds very similar to the principle why salt and other crystals will retain certain patterns when certain frequencies are played into salt or crystal. Absolutely. Rhythm. Can you wear more than one Mojo bag at once? Yes, I discussed that. What side of the body to wear Mojos on and why? It depends on who you ask. Some would say if you are a man, wear it on your right side. Some would say if you're a woman, wear it on your left. Some would say it depends upon what the use of the Mojo bag is for. If it's more protective in nature, then more on your left side. If it's more active to go out and do something per se, then more on your right side. All right, what would I chant in order to pass the state board exam? You can do the prayer of Solomon for wisdom. What personal concerns to add? Again, depending upon the use of the Mojo bag. If it's more for mastery, or let's say in this case for a state board exam, if you want to use your hair closest to your head, your mind, right? If it is to go get something like for a money example, your fingernails are very good for that. Also to for road opening, your toenails, obviously, because you walk with them. Also for protection, right? Because sometimes you can pick up tricks to your feet. If it is about love or whatever, then you may use your sexual fluids. If it is for control, you may use urine. You can use, like I said, your saliva is a good one. You can take your name paper, lick it a few times, let it dry, and then write on that. Your pubic hair, okay. For again, sexual type of work or love types of work, etc. right? The part of the body is going to relate to what effect it's going to give. All right. Great question. I'm gonna get to that in just a second. After the 7 or 9 days, would you feed it once a week? Yes, you would feed it on the day you started. Normally, your obstetrician will tell you. Unless they don't, they may or may not. Okay, I do. As it calls for it. Okay, but whatever day you start, whatever day you get it, you start to feed it, then that would be like your day to feed it. Okay, so yes, after 7 or 9 days, then then every week on that particular day, or hopefully around that same time, you want to develop regularity with it. It's like you feed your baby at certain times of the day. Yeah. Instead of shotgunning the smoke, is it okay to blow it from your mouth? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. How would you prepare an animal curio? Give me a little bit more on that question. That's a great question. I'm going to answer that. What kind of rum or cigar you use? Great question. All right. Even in now in that case, for all purpose, okay, I like to use Ray and Nephews, or my teacher used to use white rum. Like I said, I like to use high proof rum. We call it, aguardiente or hot rum. The idea being that so you know me if I'm gonna use three things. I teach my students this: a candle, smoke, and rum. These are each relate to three particular things. The rum represents the blood, the fluids of the body. All right. The smoke represents the soul, the breath of that body. And then the candle represents the light, represents the light or the spirit of that being. So you normally find anytime I'm doing anything that deals with spirits or ensouling something or anything like that, those three elements are always in my practice. Okay. Now to get more specific here, if you're doing like a sweetening work, for example, okay, like a love, you may use a darker rum because dark rum normally has molasses in it, which is it's a honey. It's not a honey. It's a sugar cane. It's a sweetener. It's sugar. Okay. You can also use the law of correspondence and the doctrine of signatures when you pick out your cigars and your rum. What does the label say? What does the label say? Right? When I go to cigar shop, I have a friend of mine, y'all might know him, Justin. He's a big cigar guy. It may say Romeo and Juliet. All right, cigar. Well, that may be very good for love work, for example. Right? You may use Fireball whiskey. Okay, for fast luck or hot luck, we call it. Right? That kind of thing. Etc. All right, so be mindful of that. Let me check my notes here because I've got a one of these things talked about. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. So like for example, what am I thinking about? Jack Daniels. All right, Jack Daniels. Right, Jack Daniels. If your name is Jacob or your name is Daniel or you name your Mojo bag that'll work. Jack Daniels number 7. 7 is a lucky number. That may be using gambling work. All right. Okay. Okay. Now I got you. Yes, absolutely. When I'm making preparing animal cures, animal fetishes, absolutely. And similar, you just saw how I did with that skull there. Yes, they are worked and fed regularly. Yes. All right. There may be I may make amulets out of hollowed bone. Let's say, for example, I may use a bull horns tip, okay, for let's say blockbuster work or something like that. Or I may use a hollowed out. Really, this would be more like a fetish, really. You really won't be able to carry this in your pocket. But a hind bone, like of a deer, for example, for agility, for success, for speed, that kind of thing. Then yes. Make sure I got everything in my notes here. Four Roses whiskey would be good for love work. Southern Comfort for happy home, home blessing. Um, uh, Also, Old Granddad for, if you're going to the graveyard. If you're working with native spirits, you may use uh, um, Old Crow whiskey or Wild Turkey whiskey, because those are kind of like, indigenous names. Crown Royal. Okay, come on, Crown Royal. For Crown of Success. Same thing with Seagram. Seagram 7 Crown whiskey for the same thing, etc. etc. You can use Jack Daniels also for making a John hand, with your 3 John roots, High John, Low John, Dixie John. You can use Jack Daniels for that also, because Jack is another surname for John. Etc. You can get creative with those kinds of things. Get creative with those kinds of things. All right. Yeah, smoke the hand, invigorated with the flame of a candle. Yeah, all of that. All of that. All right. Let me know that you at least learned one thing you didn't know before, and let me know if it was worth it. Don't be shy. If you want to tell me privately, no doubt this was stupid, I don't want my money back, just send me let me know. You probably won't get it back, but since you already joined. But it's a very, very enlightening demonstration for me. Thank you. I now understand Mojo bags. I'm glad. That was my whole intention in this. Um, uh, can you show an example of a Jack versus a Toby? As soon as you want to, yeah, I'll get that in just a second. I'm an alcoholic in recovery. Can I mix my spit rum and yeah, absolutely. You don't have to use if you want to spit on it, like I said, you can just do that. All right. Spit on it with just the with the guinea peppers. Absolutely. Okay. Are black cat bones good for lung protection? Because if you can actually find a black cat bone, go for it. Go for it. If you don't have animal curios, that's fine. Use what you have. All right. I really enjoyed this a good deal. I've seen and read a lot of what was spoke about, but you did add several things I've never heard of before. I really like how you construct your hand. Thank you. Now you get a lot of attention, which leaves me curious what you put in the hand to draw customers. I will put that in the recipes. All right, put that in the recipes. Yeah, black cat bones. So yeah, I think when people think black cat bone, they think of a certain bone of the black cat. Okay, but I don't work it like any other animal curio. Okay, I just see that the luck part is the natural effect of the black cat. Does that make sense? In the same way that teeth are naturally aggressive and to defend and to attack. So you can use, like, for example, for a gambling hand, use the paws, right? The finger bones of the cat, all right? If you're working on trying to escape the law, okay, use the feet of the cat, all right? By that I mean the hind feet. Okay, obviously they got 4 feet, right? But the hind feet is good for walking stealthily under the radar of the law. Another question here was asked about I don't know how that really relates to Mojo's, but sure. Can you show an example of a Jack versus a Toby? So yeah, I just put them over there. Okay. All right. Jack balls are normally added into a bag. All right. They're constructed as a spherical. They're added into a bag, and you keep that. That's more of the Jack ball situation. As far as I understand it, a Toby, I'll get up and show you 2 styles. All right. So here are 2 styles here of Toby's. All right. You can see this one uh, is more angular, has almost like an icosahedron shape there. Okay, which was for a man I was working on. All right, you can see it's tied there and it dangles like so. All right, can rock back and forth, etc. All right, this is one way. This way, you start off with the wax and then you end in the thread. Right, you put your ingredients together in kind of a wax ball and then tie it from there like this. And then the other way is the reverse. Right, you start off with your thread first and then dip it in wax. Now I like to use for these guys, they like to use sealing wax. This is my favorite kind of wax to use, sealing wax. All right, in this, and it gets very firm. And again, you can rock it back the same way. Okay. Excellent presentation. Gave me great tips. I learned about putting attention into every step. Add to the power. Yes, certainly, sir. Would you put scrapings of a human skull in a Mojo bag for a possible reason? Yes. Yes. Polvo de Muerto, the powder of a dead man. It was good to see one made step by step and hear the reasons why certain things were done. Okay. First thing I really did just scratch the surface on emojis. I really did. I really, really did. All right. I'm glad that you guys make sure I got any questions here. Great deal. For victory and winning, definitely, you want to make for victory and winning, you definitely want to make a John hand, which is basically a high John, low John, and Dixie John together with your intention, your personal concerns there. That's a very easy one. Okay. For winning, depending on what you want to win at, if it has to do with dexterity of your hands, of course, 5 finger brass would be good. You can use finger bones. All right. In there, if it's like games of chance, okay, you can use badger finger bones or raccoon finger bones. What this does, a little side note, more goes into a lesson on curios. There's a way you can fix them so they will steal your opponent's luck and give it to you, right? And the same way that they go rummaging around and taking your stuff. So if you're I've made those a lot for I had a friend of mine who wanted one because he could not play spades at all. He's black in a Southern family. You got another play spades. You cannot play spades at all. And they would love to put him on a team. They wanted to lose because he could not play spades. So I made this hand for him, and it stole their luck. So he didn't know what the hell he was doing, but he was winning. He was winning. He was I enjoyed that testimony. It was very funny. The other thing I want to ask was it kind of be able to be viewed without repurchasing? Yes. And is the extra content through so there's a intensive already up on my Gumroad called Mojo 101, I think it's called. That again was an intensive class I was in. I kind of got inside footage of my class, so that's separate. All right. That's actually me reviewing their homework after they made a Mojo hand. But for this particular, what you guys are going to get, you got your webinar, you're going to get the video shortly between, give me until Monday, okay, to get you everything. You're going to get this video recorded. It's going to be a private YouTube link. There will also be 4 other YouTube links included in that. showing you again how to make Mojos from scratch, how to make your own Mojo feed, how to dispose of Mojos. There will be other supplemental material. I'm going to do, of course, Mojo recipes. I will also have written instructions on the Mojo bag construction, and then some other, extra stuff in there. Okay. So yes, y'all will get all of that. Okay. Without any further purchase. Okay. And I've got some Mojos here. So the first 5 people that signed up, okay, my first 5 participants, I'm going to get with you to get your address, and I will send you a Mojo hand. All right. So that way y'all can let everybody know who didn't show up. See, y'all should have came. This is my smallest attended class, actually. But it's all good. So if you guys want to leave a review on the Facebook page or any of the appropriate groups you guys are in, I greatly appreciate it. That helps for future webinars. Yeah. Concerns of targets be added to Mojos for love, cursing, controlling. Yes, we know we don't make Mojo bags per se for those things for cursing work because they're normally kept on your person. But yes, you can make bundles that will do that, like packets and so on. That would do that. Yes. Everyone be attracted to you. I'm gonna try to steer away from recipes. I'm gonna put a number of recipes in your supplemental material. Actually, let me see if I have. I've got it here. Yeah, I've got lists. Y'all can't see them. Upon lists of Mojo bag recipes. So 1, 2. I'm not gonna count them, but I've got enough. It's gonna be in here. All right. Thank you so much for the encouragement. For sachets you mentioned, they can be made to drop powder on you. Can you explain a bit? So basically you will put like in your bra, like in your pocket, you'll put like a money drawing powder or a, stay with me boy powder, whatever, in the sachet. And as you walking or whatever, it's going to almost like you're powdering yourself down, basically. Okay. That's what I wanted to say there. All right. Well, right here on 921, we are done there. I'm going to dismiss everybody with a prayer. Well, I'm trying to think, was there something else? No, I think that's it. I think that's it. All right. So yeah, you guys definitely spread the word. Let the folks know they missed a treat. I'm checking something here, my stats. Y'all just wait for a second. We and him are working on it. I need to reach out to him. You know how your goddaddy is. He is slow to move, and even slow to move with technology. So we go. I told him I was gonna do this with him, so I'm gonna hold to my word. I definitely want to get him on here. Uh, so you let him know that that I sent word by you to get his tail on here. Okay. Uh, yes, I'm going to pray Psalms 90 and 17, which is kind of a pun, it's kind of a play on words because it talks about hands. Psalms 90 and 17 says, "May the favor of the Lord our God rest upon us and establish the work of our hands for us." Yea, establish the work of our hands. Father, I thank you for those who have come from near and from far. I ask that you bless them, you bless their minds, that they can retain this. I ask that you would speak to them in their private time, to give them insight and ideas, witty inventions, concepts, strategies, innovations, tips, tricks, and techniques to carry this on. Give them the ashe and the force of will to activate and to reinvigorate and to quicken their mojos and their fetishes. Bless the work of their hand. It is so, and it cannot be otherwise. Amen. All right, y'all. I hold you on the light of God that never fails. God bless you all forever.